And when we traveled, and when we asked people, do we still have to talk about the consequences of the war? Yes, they say, because we still live in the consequences of this war. So we will continue with the story, but we have also added other things, dealing with other sins of society. Today we have a new brand of nationalism spreading across the world, and in our region, and in Europe. New kinds of, we have children who are now raising their hands, saluting to fascism, who have no clue. They think that war is like a football game, or something like this, who can be easily manipulated very soon and sent to fight again. They think it's fun, till a week later they realize that their friends are being pulled out of the trenches there. They don't know this, so we have to address those issues. There is a problem of religious nationalism today in the world. There is a problem of ethnic nationalism in the world. There is a problem of racial nationalism in the world. I'm saying Rome has much more work to do today than 20 years ago. We are living in more complex societies today than 20 years ago. And I'm saying it's fragile for one reason specifically, and this is that we started working deliberately by bringing people deliberately of different faiths, different ethnic identities, different this and that, together so that they can experience new trust, new friendship. We will continue to do this. But when you do this, it's a very dangerous thing. Because although we are all smiling, we are all kind, but the issue of nationalism is still alive and sensitive issue. I have done before God my best, maybe not perfect. I've done my best not to allow Rome to become a Croatian thing because it was born in Croatia and because all of our major programs have been taken in Croatia. Rome should never become a Croatian thing, or a Serbian business, or an Albanian, or Romanian, or American, or I don't know what else. Because the moment it becomes, it will go down quicker than you think. Are we still friends? Yes. The moment Rome loses when it comes to issues of nationalism, neutrality, and I'm not naive. You know, we all have our passions and we all have where our hearts are leaning. I'm following you on Facebook, you know. I see when you cover yourself in a flags on birthdays, weddings, I don't know what, you know. I see all of this. But if Rome would lose its deliberate neutrality when it comes to the issues of nationalism, the next moment it will go down. That's the fragility of Rome. There are 4 ingredients, or 4 pillars of Rome, that form the identity of Rome. If you lose any of those, Rome is not Rome. Number 1, it's a building of deliberate friendship. How many times have we been talking about Jesus and his small groups of friends? And how small groups of friends dedicated to something decent have power to make changes or impact that goes beyond the size of those groups. Some groups have taken advantage of this for evil purposes. Big things like even fascism, like Hitler and his mates in Austria drinking beer and scheming how they're going to conquer the world. They started as a group of friends. I'm not talking about this kind of friendship. I'm talking about a friendship according to the model of the person of Jesus and in the spirit of Jesus and on the basis of his teaching. When friends get together first to be friends, and then out of this a vision is born, there is no more beautiful thing, there is no more powerful thing. And few people who get together like this, with Jesus in the center, can make, and they have made, radical differences in the world. And what really I'm rejoicing is that
we can see that basically when one ROM event finishes, those friendships last not for weeks, months, for years. This is a proof that you are getting the message. That's why ROM is what it is. We emphasize the relational aspect. We don't take too many people, we take only as many people as they can become friends within a week, 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Another pillar of ROM is reconciliation, forgiveness, peace building as the only remedy from the broken world. Some people say, why do you do with leadership and reconciliation? Because we want leaders to be the leaders in reconciliation. Here in this region, Croatia, Serbia, this is too small region for us to continuously fight and be scheming about another war. Too small, we are overlapping. We know what happened in the last war, how we were clearing the regions just to create artificially, clearly ethnic countries. This is why we started putting the emphasis on peace building, reconciliation and forgiveness. Because believe me, my friends, the only model for this is Jesus, who on the cross, when he was ridiculed, he was the most innocent person ever living in the world. He had courage to extend his hand to this world when he says, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. Some people think that we are going to reconcile only when all the scores are settled. My Lord, we can wait till the cows come home, and much longer if we are going to wait for reconciliation to depend, because we all have our stories. In our region, it's not my fault, we are only victims, they are. They say the same story, and we all have plenty of stories to support them. Look at them, they're the war criminals. We are only victims, we didn't do anything, it happened to us out of blue. This is a fiction. Not only in the Balkans, this is a fiction in the Middle East. This is fiction everywhere. This is the fiction also in the stories between USA and Iran. These are fictions where you have one side that is totally angelic and the other side is demonic. Are we still friends? In this region, we can at least be friends, and we can have friends across the borders. And we can, through this friendship, be building peace and reconciliation. And tomorrow, and today, some of you are in some senior political leadership, not be the first one who will be taking guns and go against neighbors, but say, just let's calm down. Let's stop, let's calm down. We already know what it looks like when we pursue the truth through the guns. Peace building, reconciliation, and forgiveness have been second pillar of ROM, and I'm sure it will continue to be so. And the next pillar of ROM is dedicated leadership of service and sacrifice. We want young leaders to be the leaders in peace building, leaders in reconciliation, leaders in forgiveness. Learn new ways of forgiveness. Can we find a way where we extend hands of trust to each other without waiting for you to even apologize to the end? Is there a way where we can kind of, even when necessary, turn a blind eye and say, let's start again? So, leadership of service, not leadership of, now I have been elected to be I don't know what, I have maybe maximum 4 years. How can I use the system? And then I don't care afterwards, I'm going to build a hotel through all the incomes that I receive one way or another. And then we wonder why our region is looking, beautiful region that can be rich, each single country here. And we are all struggling, some of us in European Union, the others are not. But when it comes to corruption, we are brothers and sisters up to here. This is why we need decent leaders who will serve communities to make a proper change and not to work to their own advantage. We don't need leaders who are just in front of cameras or behind big desks. We need leaders who, like what Heather is teaching us, are going to have their hearts clean, but their hands dirty. And then the final one, following Jesus without apology. People have asked us, why are we having Jesus? There are many seminars and movements who do all the rest without Jesus. Let me ask you a question. If when you go home after Rome and you want to change the world
And reality as there it is, it hits you, no one understands you. What or who will give you energy to sustain you to persist and say, yes, this is the right course, even if no one understands me? In my view, that's Jesus. Because he's the best example of what does it mean to be a leader, what does it mean to forgive, what does it mean to pursue peace building, and all of these things. He's the best example in all of those, the most powerful. Why are we not using other leaders as an example? We do, but all the other leaders that have really made a decent, positive difference in the world have learned from Jesus, not from Hitler. They've learned from Jesus. So why not to go to the real source, to the real teacher, acknowledge the others, but let's be clear, Jesus and Mahatma Gandhi are not at the same level, because even Mahatma Gandhi learned from Jesus, not the other way around. Also, this is not written with big letters, but we always teach you and tell you that the reason Jesus is the best example, because there is more than what meets the eye when we look upon Jesus. And I'm finishing with this. And you know, I want to challenge you, if you have not been yet considering this, work on discovering what this other thing is. Read the Gospel of John when they are quarreling with him, and Jesus is pointing to himself and to his Father, and they're playing games. We don't know. Show us who is the Father, who is the God, you know. Show us. And he says, in many ways, you see him here. This is the only way how you can really comprehend God, by looking at me. There is no other way to understand God. I am the one. He and I are one. I've come here to do the will of my Father. There is more with Jesus than just a good example. I said it many times. When I behold Jesus, I know I can trust and love God. Because through many other ways, God looks like an idiot who is thrashing us, who is walking over us. But when you behold God, through whatever misunderstanding you may have reading the Old Testament pages, when you behold Jesus, when you see him that he had, you know, can you imagine God who didn't need to do this? Like your father, he didn't depend on this. He didn't need to come down in our dirt. And yet he lowers himself to the point of our dirt. And he lets himself to be mistreated like a last idiot. And through this, somehow, which I don't understand how, it's a mystery that somehow through his life and through his death and resurrection and through all of this package, you know, he builds a bridge back to the Father. I don't need any other God, I will be blunt with you. I don't need those gods who sit on the mountains overweight and just say, love people, love the world, love. Give me a break, get down, lose your weight. Show us. You know. Jesus did it. He did more than lost his weight, you know. He came down, and in a mysterious way, God coming down, becoming not just a man, but becoming the last of the men. When you have such a God, he is not only the best example, but he is deserving to be your Lord and your God and your Master and your King of the Kings, and we can give him 20 other titles that no one else deserves. So I hope that Rome is going to continue and upholding Jesus, not for some sectarian, religious, who knows weird reasons, but because in him we have all. We have our Lord and Savior, but we have the greatest example and motivator how to change the world, how to take care of the poor, how to take care of the immigrants and refugees, how to take care of those who are in prison, who are sick, homeless, how to be against nationalism, fascism, and any other ism, and be it communism or whatever it is. We learn in him because of who he is,
because he is the only one who really speaks the values of God.